Yes.
Is Manny supposed to be a lucky kid because he gets everything from his parents, or is he just an average kid?
Is Greg a lucky kid?
No, Manny.
Oh, Manny. Yeah, Manny is a little bit of a spoiled kid. I think, part of the reason I created Manny and Roderick is that anybody who has an older teenager living in the house knows what it's like to live with Roderick, and anybody that has a younger sibling knows what it's like to live with Manny. So he's sort of, the every kid who's sort of spoiled. Yeah.
What is your favorite book?
My favorite book, I think it'll always be the Red Book because I wrote it first and I didn't have any success before that. But the purple one's pretty high on my list right now. So we'll take like 3 more questions because I want to get everybody's book signed.
Sure.
So go ahead.
You dedicated the book to Thomas, but who is it?
That's right. There was a kid named Thomas. In fact, my last 3 books have been dedicated to kids who have cancer. So Thomas is a kid, a 2nd grader out in Utah who has cancer. And if anybody would, please pray for him because we want him to recover. Thanks.
Like in a diary form, is that because his mom bought Greg a diary?
Could you say the first part of the question again?
All the books are like in a diary form, is that because his mom bought him a diary?
That's right, that's exactly right. The worst thing for a boy is to be handed an empty book that says diary on it. And so I made a joke of that. Boys have journals, not diaries. I'm going to get this guy up front because there's no microphone near him, and then we'll do one more, okay? And I'd love to answer your questions all day long, but I want to sign your books, so.
How did you go out with
The
the Snellas?
Snellas? A lot of names I've just picked up throughout my life, and I'm sure I ran into somebody named the Snellas along the way. But the Snellas are just a family that, they have all these kids named Seth Snella and Sam Snella, and, there was a family I knew also that every one of their kids' names started with S. And so I mixed all these things together and then created fictional characters. Okay, so one more, and I will be able to answer your questions for the people I don't get right here when I sign your books. So go for your choice. Okay, he's got a Zooey Mama hat on.
How did you come up with the loaded diaper?
How did I come up with a loaded diaper? Well, again, that's a mix of a bunch of different things. My brother did have a band when we were growing up. They weren't bad like Loaded Diaper, but I'm sure that's what gave me the idea. But Loaded Diaper, the name, L-O-D-E-D, and then D-I-P-E-R, for some reason, everybody thought it was cool, like in the 1970s and 80s, to name your rock bands but misspell them, like Def Leppard and Led Zeppelin, because somehow, like, ignorance was cool. So that's how I came up with Loaded Diaper. And also, my dad used to always, hold his nose when there was a baby in the room and say, I think that kid has a loaded diaper. So I'm sure I got it from him, too. So before I pass the mic back over to my brother, who many of you may not have met, Scott Kinney, I did want to just say for the signing, what we'd like to do is we're going to try to get you home as fast as possible. There's another group on your heels. Parents, if you want to take a picture of the signing, I would just recommend that you take a practice picture. Because you won't believe how much that speeds it up. Parents don't know how to use their cell phone cameras for some reason. It's a mystery. It's good to practice like 20, 30 seconds beforehand. But thank you again for coming out here, and now I'll pass the mic over to Scott Kinney.
Thank you, Jeff, for coming. Thank you all for coming. How about one more time for Jeff for coming all the way out here on Thanksgiving vacation. I've got a few people to thank. I know you guys want to meet Jeff and get your book signed, but first of all, I want to thank Jeff, of course, for coming down. And as Jeff mentioned a little bit, the thing I want to thank him most for is inspiration, because my passion was songs and songwriting, and I hadn't done it in a long time. And I watched Jeff just keep going and keep going, even when he was being rejected. And finally, my wife said, "Hey, Scott, why don't you start a music store?" And we had decided to move here before I decided to do that. And I thought, that would be perfect. So we've been in business 5 months now, and we have some wonderful teachers. Chris, stand up. Julia, over here. And what's really great about having a music store is watching everybody else get inspired to do something they really like too. So I think it's really kind of spun off from Jeff's persistence. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
And I'd also like to thank my entire family, my mom, my dad, my wife, especially for keeping me going when I thought I couldn't do it, and everybody else in my family. And then I'd like to thank Jeff Stern, who's done a remarkable job. Jeff, wherever you are, he's the best in the business. And this is a beautiful theater. If you've never been here before, they do wonderful plays, wonderful shows. In fact, there's a great show tonight at 8 o'clock, Jake and the Burtones, if you would like to stick around and see it. And let's see, I hope I didn't forget anybody, but thank you all to Purcellville for welcoming Jeff and for welcoming the Shamrock Music Shop and supporting us. We really do appreciate it. And with that, we have a special presentation. Oh, thank you, Patrick, my younger brother, for being my younger brother. And I'll tell you one little last story. Some little Kinney family lore that I hope ends up in the next book is Jeff and half the family went to New York for the parade. The other half of us that knew better than to travel to New York City on Thanksgiving decided to stay home. And then we had our annual football game, and the stay-homes beat the Wimpy Kids 35-14. So it's good to be rested and ready. But anyway, thank you again, and I have Mayor Bob Lazaro here from the town of Purcellville to make a very special presentation. And thank you again. Enjoy your evening.
Now, I know you boys and girls haven't watched this on TV, but if you have been looking at the newspapers, today is Small Business Saturday, and I think it's just great that a small business in Purcellville has brought such a renowned author to our community. So Scott, Jeff, thank you very much for gracing our town. How about a round of applause? And I would be a terrible mayor if I didn't tell you, please visit Scott's shop, but also visit all of our downtown businesses. They're really doing a great job in creating jobs and making our town a nice place to live. We just want to say thank you. This gentleman has sold over 30 million books. They're in 27 different languages. He was one of Time Magazine's most 100 influential people in the world, right here in Purcellville. And we have a little something for you. I will not read all of this, but today, on behalf of the council, today is Jeff Kinney Day throughout the town of Purcellville. And I know there are a lot of folks who want to meet you and sign books, so thank you very much.
Thank you. So why don't you tell them how to sign this?